What happened to the offense? Seriously, what happened? Nobody's scoring. At the beginning of the season, it was the first line. It was dominating. Now, nobody's scoring. The offense has become anemic. Good thing Brian Elliott standing on his head. Caleb Weiler's here. I'm Adrian Fedque. We are back, baby. And your hair, it's all growing out. You're going emo mode.
Yeah, that's how long it's been since we've done a show. Is I've been so depressed that I've grown my hair out to let the viewers know that I am so depressed that my hair is now just right into my eyes. That's how long it's been.
Yeah. Flyers are dead last in the division. How about that?
That's the other reason why my hair is long.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about why they're last in the division. All right, so I've got some pretty little stats. These stats are actually from you. So good job pumping out the articles on PhillyInfluencer.com. Make sure you check it out. Nice little plug. All right, so Claude Giroux, Jacob Voracek, Sean Couturier, and Shane Gostisbehere. 75 points in 16 games. You guys want to know what the rest of the Flyers are doing? The rest of the team? 65 points in 16 games. That is putrid.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely horrendous. And then they got shut out in back-to-back games from Devan Dubnyk and the Wild. So those numbers after those next two games are still exactly the same, which is...
Oh, yeah, I should have said 18 games. My bad.
Yeah, all good. It's still horrendous, though, because it proves the point that nothing's happening right now. The top line has been absolutely incredible, all scoring at over a point per game pace. Sean Couturier is leading the Flyers in goals at 10 goals, and like his career high is 15. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's great to see how well they're doing. But nobody else is showing up to play right now, and it's frustrating.
So what's going on here? I know Nolan Patrick has missed the last 9 games. Do they really miss him that much? Does that have to do with anything, or what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Even though Nolan Patrick only had a goal and 2 assists in the 9 games he played, his hockey IQ was off the charts, so he was able to set up plays and give space to everybody else on the ice. So it does hurt not having him out there. They've been juggling the lines 2 and 3 and trying to see if they can get a different combination in there. But when you have Yuri Laterra and Dale Weiss on your third line, there's just not going to be offense. So when Nolan Patrick comes back, there's definitely going to be an uptick in scoring, I believe, especially secondary scoring. Because right now, if the opponents are figuring out how to shut down that top line, there's nothing else going for the Flyers right now.
Yeah, I kind of read into some of the line changes recently, earlier today, actually. So what kind of the things are they doing? Do you agree with what Dave Hackstall is doing? What would you do to kind of jumpstart the offense?
So what he was doing is he moved Travis Konechny from the third to the second line. So we were seeing, any type of combination of Wheel, Filppula, Simmonds, Konechny on that second line, and then Weiss, Laterra, and Reed maybe, but he hasn't been in the lineup in a while. So he's trying his best to see if he can jumpstart something, but it's just not working so far, and nothing is really gonna work unless Nolan Patrick comes back soon, because they could try to call somebody up from the AHL, but I still don't think somebody like Oscar Lindblom is ready to play. He's doing well in the AHL, but not well enough to deserve the call-up. So it's going to be interesting, but they kind of just have to keep doing what they're doing and figure it out, because it was working in the beginning of the year, and now it's not. So they just got to see what's going on, because right now Brian Elliott, like you said, is standing on his head, and he's had every single game in November. He's had a save percentage over .940, and if the Flyers can actually get him a goal or two, they could be – right now they're last in the division. They could be first. There's only a 6-point gap between them and the Devils right now. And, yes, I did say the Devils are in first place in the Metropolitan Division, which is just ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. It really is. So we'll get to Elliott in a second. Before that, though, we're going to talk about some guys who kind of have to pick up the slack. So, guys like Wayne Simmonds, Konechny, you mentioned. You got Filppula and Jordan Wheel. So those 4, let's get into Simmonds first, because 30 goals last year, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Over 30 goals. So what's going on with him?
Yeah, he started off the season extremely hot. I mean, at to this point, at 18 games in, he has 6 goals and 5 assists, which is kind of on pace for what his average is. He normally averages 50 to 60 points a year, 30 goals, 20 assists, somewhere in that range, maybe 25. So he's still kind of on pace, but he came out swinging and then just dropped off for the last 6 games. So he's got to find a way to get it back, because everybody else on the power play is still contributing. Gostisbehere, like you said earlier, They moved Couturier to the top power play unit, which is probably also hurting the second power play unit, the fact that they now don't have Couturier or Nolan Patrick on it. So that really hurts there. So Wayne Simmonds scoring, those 6 goals in those first, I believe it was 4 games, and then just dropping off out of nowhere. It's been a rough ride for him. It'll be interesting to see not only this season, but next season if he remains a Flyer when his extension is due the year after that.
Now let's talk about those other guys too, Wheel, Konechny, and Filppula. What are you seeing from them, or what aren't you seeing?
Yeah, well, with Travis Konechny, you can tell he's obviously getting chances. He's the Flyers' fastest skater by far. It's just ridiculous how much speed he has. So he's playing well. He is a sophomore. He has 7 points in 18 games, 2 goals, and 5 assists. I've liked the way he's played. He's gotten a couple fast breaks. I think the Flyers are kind of stuck in the spot where they've run into 2 extremely hot goalies at the wrong time. Corey Crawford has just been phenomenal all year, and then Devin Dubnyk is currently riding a 3-game shutout streak. So 2 of them came against the Flyers, which is unfortunate, but he's clearly playing lights out right now. Just to go into those other 2 guys, Jordan Wheel only has 6 points in 16 games, and Filppula, similar to Simmonds, started off the season extremely well in that top power play unit, got demoted. He only has 9 points in 18 games, so definitely frustrating to see what they're doing right now, but it's clear that they have the talent on lines 2, 3, and 4 to actually play well, but they're just not doing it. And just to tack on one more guy's name, Michael Raffl, in 18 games, 0 points.
Oh.
0.
Oh, no raffle tickets. None.
None.
None for nobody. He doesn't want to hand them out this year.
No, he doesn't want people to donate to the 50-50 this year, so no points for Raffl.
There you go. All right, let's get into Elliott then. So the month of October didn't go so well. In 8 games, 84.4 save percentage. Oh, my God, 3.23 goals allowed per game? Ew. Ew. But in November, he's obviously picked up his play, 95.8% save percentage, and then, well, the goals against average dropping down to 1.27. So what are you seeing now as opposed to earlier? Like, he's standing on his head now.
Yeah, well, it seems it was similar to last season in Calgary, where he started off very, very poorly. And then once he got used to the system and got used to playing behind players that he's never played behind before, he started to pick it up. The interesting thing for me with Elliott right now is that he went 5-2-1 in October despite posing those nasty stats. Like, not nasty in a good way, just nasty. And now in November, he's 1 exactly. And now he's 1-3, but is basically trying to carry the team. The Flyers scored 3 goals in their 4 November games, and they all came in 1 game. So Brian Elliott has really been turning it on. Michael Neuvirth has been extremely consistent to start the season as well. So it's the Flyers triangle of death right now. You can choose You can choose 2 of the 3: good offense, good defense, or good goaltending. Right now they have good goaltending and good defense, but the offense is nowhere to be found.
All right, so what else can we get into here for this show? What do you think? What did you think about the first month of the season?
Well, it's interesting because it seemed like Michael Neuvirth was trying to take the reins away from Brian Elliott, but Hackstall was definitely hell-bent on giving Brian Elliott his chance to remain the starter, and clearly that worked out because now he's playing very well. It seemed to catch a lot of teams off guard to have the 3 best players on the Flyers squad on the top line. And not a lot of teams do that. You see the Blackhawks where they normally have Kane and Taves on a different line, and you have the Penguins, who I don't like to talk about, but they have Crosby and Malkin on a different line. So very interesting how they started the season, started extremely well. It's still exciting to see that Jacob Voracek has 21 points in 18 games, kind of a resurgence for him to be playing so well this year. But all 3 of those guys are still on pace to score over a point per game, which is definitely possible if they keep it up. Gostisbehere is also at a point per game pace. So I've been extremely pleased with how they've played up until this point, albeit not playing well within the last 4 games. But they can clearly do it, so they'll turn it around. The Metropolitan Division is definitely one of the harder divisions in the NHL because you can tell by how tight it is, maybe not points-wise, but how tight that entire division is. It's going to be really hard for the Flyers to make the playoffs this year. And if they want to do it, they're going to have to combine October's offense with November's defense and goaltending to get it done.
All right, so we'll go kind of around the NHL. Just a quick little broad question here. So again, going back to kind of the first month and a half of the season, who's the team that you're most surprised with? Who's been the team that's most disappointing?
All right, well, surprise definitely has to be the Golden Knights because I believe at some point they were leading their division, which is absolutely ridiculous. So they've been a big surprise. They play extremely well at home, and the rumor is because the away teams are willing to take a loss to get a night to party in Vegas. So they have an extreme home ice advantage going on.
No, that is absolutely 100% true. Yeah. So you get the fans and you get the hungover players coming into town.
Exactly. So it's kind of a twofer for the Vegas Golden Knights going on at home right now. So they're my big surprise. And the Devils, who are also leading the Metropolitan Division, who we touched on earlier. For biggest disappointment, it's hard not to pick the Coyotes. I think they've still only won 2 games this year, and none of them have been in regulation. They've played 20 games this year. They added Antti Ranta and Derek Stefan. Clayton Keller is probably going to be the Calder Trophy winner. And they have a great team there, but they're just not able to string together wins. They have Oliver Ekman-Larsson. So any team that only has 2 or 3 wins 20 games into the season has to be the biggest disappointment.
All right, so we've got our boy Sean Fitzpatrick tuning in, just checking the chat here. So he says, this team is still in a transitional period, young defensemen up and functioning, but goalie and forward still haven't arrived. Lots of dead weight here. What do you think about that comment?
I think he's absolutely right. The Flyers definitely have a lot of dead weight to move, and players like Valtteri Filppula and Jori Lehtera, who are all going to be out of here within a year or two. At this point, you can't really call Wayne Simmonds dead weight, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him moved either to make room for the younger guys. If Oscar Lindblom could really turn it up in the AHL, because they're going to have to extend guys like Nolan Patrick and Ivan Provorov and Travis Konecny soon, and that's going to take priority over somebody like Wayne Simmonds. So they're carrying a lot of dead weight. In addition to, even though Brian Elliott and Michael Neuwirth are playing extremely well right now, neither of them are the goalie of the future. Anthony Stolarz is still hurt, but players like Felix Sandstrom and Carter Hart are definitely the future of this team. So it is still a transitional period. Don't expect the Flyers to be as good as the Eagles, but they'll get there.
All right, so Sean likes to joke around with me. He likes calling me Mr. Hockey, so he's starting to chant in the chat group. Mr. Hockey! Mr. Hockey! Appreciate the compliment. Obviously, I'm a genius. I know everything about pucks and sticks.
Yeah, clearly quoting my articles. You're the genius.
Hey, we don't have to say that.
No, not at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. Hey, so you've been going to the games instead of me this year. So you see a little Claude Giroux, a little Wayne Simmonds. They playing some ball before games?
Yeah, I've actually seen a lot of Travis Konecny and Shane Gostisbehere down there, and the little bit of the court that they have down there, playing some soccer, playing some basketball. So it's good to see them, but don't want to get them out of their zone. So I just go about my business, head up to the press box, and get to work.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I've been wanting to say something to Claude because his jump shot is horrendous. He's got his elbow flailing. I mean, geez, I am Mr. Basketball, so I know these things. And, well, obviously, as you can imagine, Simmonds is probably the best one because he's black.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's because he's tall. I think he's like 6 something. I think that's why he's the best.
Yeah, they always get their games of horse in. So if you guys don't know, like for the media people, the media entrance, you go downstairs in the basement level, I guess, and they got this hoop, I guess, against the back wall, like a concrete wall. And the Flyers players, they like playing horse before they go out for warm ups and stuff. And Claude Giroux, I don't think I've ever seen him make a basket.
No, I don't. He clearly has no idea what he's doing for basketball. They're all pretty good at hockey or soccer, which is impressive. They're all good with their feet. Clearly, they're all good at hockey. But it's cool to see them playing soccer around there too. Just hand-eye coordination, but they definitely all suck at basketball.
Yeah. And like I said, man, like you just can see that Claude jump shot and know that he's not a basketball player at all.
No, and he's only like what 5'11", so I wouldn't expect him to be.
Yeah. All right, so we got any final thoughts before we depart?
Thoughts for me is right now the Flyers can put themselves in a very good spot with a couple of games in hands that they have, and on the teams in front of them. But if they keep scoring 1 or 2 goals a game, it's not going to be enough. So the rest of the team's really going to have to pick it up. Nolan Patrick is rumored to come back very soon, if not the next game. So we'll see what happens, but it's going to be interesting. If the Flyers can't score some goals, they're really going to lose ground on the rest of the Metropolitan Division, and at that season, they're definitely sellers for the rest of the season if they can't start to get it done.
Yeah, and maybe that's not a bad thing.
No, I don't think it would be.
Let's trust the process. Let's tank.
Yeah. Well, you saw what they got for Braden Shen at the draft. They got 2 first-round picks, and they had to take on Yuri Laterra, but that wasn't bad. Imagine if that's what you're getting for Shen, what you're going to get for Wayne Simmonds, who is one of the best power forwards in the game. He might not be showing it right now, but he would fetch you a lot of trade value, especially only with a year and a half left on his contract. So it'll be something to watch.
Yeah, and Sean in the comment section said better to trade him now as opposed to later.
Yeah, well, better to trade him now and then to just not lose him for anything if you don't re-sign him. So if you know you're not going to re-sign him, as much as I love Wayne Simmonds and I have a Wayne Simmonds jersey up in my closet, if you're not going to re-sign him, trade him and get younger.
There you go. All right, Caleb has spoken, and Mr. Hockey is out. So for Caleb Weiler, I am Adrian Fedke, signing off.
Peace.